Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in Wellness Wednesday. I'm excited again to bring back our guest, Dr. Christa Spence. Let me talk a little bit about Dr. Christa Spence, and our topic today is, since it's April, it's actually Occupational Therapy Month. So, Dr. Spence, with over 6 years of experience in the field of occupational therapy, she embarked on an inspiring journey in 2020 by founding Life Wellness Occupational Therapy. Her mission is to deliver holistic occupational therapy that encompasses the entirety of an individual, their mind, body, and soul. At Life Wellness, we understand that conditions affecting physical, mental, and emotional well being can have a profound impact on various aspects of a person's life. Our approach involves addressing all these areas to enhance the overall quality of life and well being. In 2023, she took that step even further with the creation of the OT to OT Entrepreneur Program, an initiative born from extensive research, her findings highlighting the critical need for resources to equip occupational therapist practitioners for the entrepreneurial path. This program is designed to offer comprehensive support, covering both the psychological readiness and technical aspects of entrepreneurship. Through step-by-step instructions, she provides individuals from point A to Z, ensuring they are well prepared for this exciting journey. The program also fosters a sense of community by providing a support network of like-minded occupational therapists, practitioners, and students, in addition to one-on-one coaching. So this is definitely an incredible journey that she and her program strives to empower and enrich the lives of both OT practitioners and the individuals they serve. And I'm proud to say that together they are shaping the future of occupational therapy and entrepreneurship. So without further ado, I'm going to bring with us Dr. Christa Spence and her our amazing discussion about occupational therapy and her work. Good morning, Dr. Spence. Happy Wednesday.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Albeit rainy, but it's still a great Wednesday.
It is. It's April showers, so we can have those May flowers.
Absolutely. I call that liquid sunshine.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we need it.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. I was just reading your about and your bio, and again, it struck me as your passion for this work, and in your program. And so I want to ask you, why did you choose occupational therapy as your profession? What brought you there? What led you there to that work?
I was led to occupational therapy years ago, not even knowing what occupational therapy was. When my grandmother had a fall and was not able to feed herself or groom herself, and just through the rehab department, months later, she was able to feed herself again, and she was never able to dance or anything, but she was able to get her shirt on again. And it was a very bad injury that she had, but for her to go from being completely dependent on people to now being able to do these basic things again, I thought it was a beautiful thing, and so I thought I would love to be able to give people their quality of life back.
That's awesome. And there's a section there that talks about entrepreneurship and your program and so on. Can we dive into that a little bit more? I'm curious to know, what the program is, and how is it going, and how are things progressing?
Yeah. So you're talking about the entrepreneurship program?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
think it's called what, OT to OT.
OT to entrepreneur. Yeah. So
Yes.
I went back in 2023 to Temple University to get my doctorate to actually study the whole topic of entrepreneurship. Um, Occupational therapy is an extensive, comprehensive field, and we have so much to offer our communities in by way of just health and wellness and making sure that people are living their very best life. And but you don't see us in as many places as we should be. And so I wanted to research what was causing us to kind of fit in a very small box, and how could we encourage and prepare uh, OT entrepreneurs and practitioners to actually expand on what we can do according to our scope of practice.
So, in that, how many OT has come through your program, and how many has gone through, or how many steps are there in this program?
Well, so there's a few steps in this program. One, I'm targeting OT practitioners who are burned out or they feel like they have more to offer, but in these major settings that we have right now, we just cannot do what we need to do. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is what I found in the study is that a lot of people don't feel comfortable with billing insurance.
Mm.
It is a complex thing. It is I'm not understating that. It is complex, but it's doable, it's learnable. And so what we just hear is, people that have had their businesses for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they're not comfortable with billing insurance, so therefore they're not, and trying to grow a cash-based business on some of the specialty fields, it's very hard. So that's a whole other aspect of the program, um, teaching people that are already entrepreneurs the expansiveness of insurance so that they're more comfortable with that.
Okay, so that, in a sense, once they're comfortable, they're able to, get through the program relatively, and just for that one
Yeah,
aspect.
yeah, and then, well, like I said, it's twofold. It's people that want to come out of the traditional setting and open up a specialty where we can more holistically treat. That's the first group that's never had a business, and then the second group are people that have had a business for a while. They're just not very comfortable with insurances, and so they're not growing their business the way that they could, or offer the type of services that insurance may actually cover, because they're not comfortable with it. So it's expanding people's businesses as well.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
Let's get back to the, can you explain, what the aspects of occupational therapy work? I know, some of us are not aware of the scope of practice. And for what we know now, again, based on some of our own personal experiences, but I'd really love to know, what are some things that most of us are not aware, and some of us also in comparison with a physical therapist and occupational therapist. But I think in this instance, I'd like to know areas that we're not aware of.
Yeah. So basically, like you said, Sharon, people, if they know anything about occupational therapy, they usually know it according to wherever setting they met that occupational therapist, whether it was for their children in pediatrics, with their grandparents, or maybe they needed a hip replacement or some sort of heart surgery. But occupational therapy actually encompasses help for either rehab or building self life skills and building capacity to where a person is able to move into their best self. So whatever occupies your time is where occupational therapy can fit in.
Mm.
Whatever occupies your time that is meaningful, that are having trouble. We work with people with social anxiety, procrastination, ADD, ADHD, along with people that may have heart problems, obesity, autism. It just goes on and on and on, because humans are complex, and so we need their needs very broadly.
Right, and because of that complexity, there's so much in a, in a patient. From what I'm understanding is that it's a holistic approach. So you guys are really looking at, not just the specific areas from a physical disability, but also other areas of the patient that they may be experiencing from a mental and emotional health while
Absolutely.
dealing with that, physical
Or
disability,
or
or it
or
could be something
no,
else.
no, not necessarily. There's some people that don't have physical disabilities, but
Hmm.
they would need help, let's say, in interviewing or getting housing or
Okay.
um, just job preparations, areas in school.
Wow. So
Yeah,
it's really extensive. It's not just one particular area.
that's
And
right.
I wouldn't have thought that it's, because most of us are, very focused on, like I said, the physical
Physical
disability,
disabilities.
because
Mhm.
I think that that's where things have been geared towards in terms of our understanding from an,
Absolutely.
occupational therapy standpoint. So it's good to know that other areas are touched as well. You can seek care or services, not necessarily just for that particular area.
Absolutely.
Um, do you have a success story, if you will, there that you can, share with us, in the work that you're doing and how um, being, what brings you joy as an occupational therapist? And we all each practice has a story, a successful story that they can share, and I'm sure there's some that are memorable to you.
Mhm.
What can you let us know, what are some of that?
Yeah, I can give you one on the physical disability side and then a short one on the mental and emotional side. Um, the for the physical disability, I had a client who she's older, and so she realized when she was standing on grass one day that she was going to lose her balance by just looking up in the air as she was letting balloons go. And she called in a panic and said, I didn't realize my balance was off. And I have a trip coming up to go to Florida, and I am afraid that I'm not going to be able to, walk that far. I think may need one of those little carts. And, it was during the time of the pandemic. And so, staff was low at the airports, and she was so afraid that she wouldn't be able to make it to her gate on time, let alone get her, suitcase that that she wanted to put in the overhead, up in the overhead. And a lot of people said, well, why wouldn't she just ask for help? Sometimes it's so crowded and people are trying to stuff themselves on the airplane, it can be a little bit intimidating to say, stop, can somebody help me? She wanted to be able to do all this stuff with her own. So what we did was, we met at the mall. And she was like, what are we doing at the mall? I said, this is your airport. This is your simulation airport. I boggled down her small suitcase with blankets to kind of weight it down. And I said, you're going to pace behind me. Breath breaks are okay. And we went up and down stairs and escalators and elevators and all through the mall, pacing ourselves at a certain pace until 2 weeks later, she went to the airport to board. She was concerned about her balance, getting the suitcase in the overhead. So what we did was, she had a stackable washer and dryer, and that's where we practiced putting the suitcase on the overhead with the stackable dryer. She called me when she's at the airport, sitting in her seat, and she's like, I actually made it. I made it on time. I'm not out of breath. I can't believe, we got it done in 2 weeks. So that one is memorable. And then I had someone who was working in healthcare that had a lot of anxiety and low self esteem
Mm.
and fears. And so she really wasn't speaking up with her clients the way she as she should. And so we also worked on what was causing these. There's something that she thinks and knows, thinks about herself that may not be true, or even if it is true, how do we get over this hump so that she can prepare herself to be, more of a team player, because she was, but no one saw that. And so we worked on that, and we role played and all of that stuff until she was able to feel more like she had value and more self-esteem to get to where she needed to go.
That is some that those two stories are wonderful. I think all of us can relate to where we were prior to certain events and things that are happening in our life, and that we have occupational therapists like yourself that to help us get back into a new normal, right? We wouldn't necessarily be where we were prior to that, but we get to a new normal and a different reframe, and the success of that with a coach, or being able to be coached into something that we have a goal that we want to achieve that is achievable, I think is really worth telling, because it's those small wins, I do think, that is, valuable. It gets you motivated even more, that if you are able to, meet that goal that you were trying to reach, then it just gets you to another step. So what else can I do, in that instance, because you've accomplished the first goal.
Yeah, and a lot of these, and like you said, coach, we do coaching as
Mm,
a part of what our therapy sessions sometimes are. And sometimes it's not considered therapy, it is just education and coaching to some degree. But yeah, and a lot of the small wins that you say, it does translate into so many other areas in our lives, and you find that you're blossoming into this new person that you did not see yourself as before.
exactly, and sometimes we just need, we need like you said, a coach to show us. We may already have, as part of our strength inherently, to be able to have that leverage, and to show us that leverage, that, oh yes, there is that, capacity or capability that we can do that slightly different, right, as to, what you are experiencing now. Then nonetheless, you'll get to, your goal in the way that you had envisioned, or the way that you were helping them get to their vision, continuing along. um, Let me take you back to being an independent practice, and I consider independent practices as the small businesses in our community, and they play a role, in that. And not only as, your work as an occupational therapist, but also as an independent practice, what maintains and sustains you in being an independent practice?
Are you saying more of what gets like my purpose, or
Yes,
how I keep
like
moving?
your
Because
purpose.
yes, small business is hard, especially when you're coming up against these large companies. Um, but what keeps me going is the fact that there's so many people that need a different type of healthcare.
Mhm.
And so for some reason I all of a sudden I hear myself echo.
Hmm. No worries there.
Okay. So that I think knowing that the approach needs to be different, the approach needs to be more holistic, in a way that sometimes, when we're in these bigger companies through the administrative process, we're kind of guided into what we either can do or what we can't do. And so I think being able with my own business to be able to treat the person as a whole person and not just their disability or their deficit is what keeps me going, because like I said before, I can see this person blossom in a way that they never had before.
And I think that's it for, if is that the main core is what I'm hearing, that you're here, that as an independent practice, because other patients, or yes, other patients are seeking other ways, not just in, the bigger health systems, or the bigger, or private equities out there that are offering similar services, but they want that uh, independent practice because of the way that you're offering the service, and the way that is unique to them as an individual. I think that's also the, for lack of a better word right now, like the essentials of what they're looking for. I find that our patients now are a little bit more savvy, a little bit more that they know what they want, they know what they're seeking, in terms of access. And if you can provide that, in this line of work, I think that is a benefit. And congratulations to you in being and sustaining as an independent practice.
Thank you. And then also I wanted to say that a lot of times people will say there's a difference between you and physical therapy, or someone will tell me I could always do on the arm or the hand, or I believe you can only treat me from the waist up, or can you just teach me how to put my shirt on? Physical therapy does the rest. And so having my own practice, I can actually show them the extensive that no, we work with the same biomechanical model as physical therapy, where we will strengthen, we will help with endurance or balance, sitting balance, standing balance, because all of those things are needed in order for you to carry out these multiple activities that occupy your time, you know? We help with walking, whether it's with a walker or a cane, or come off of a cane and just walk with without the supports. Because generally, you have to walk to the bathroom, you have to walk to get in the car. We work with car transfers and regular transfers and getting in and out of the bed and going out in and out of the community and going grocery shopping with people if that is an issue, with getting things off the shelves and pushing the cart. And it's very expensive. And so where there is no physical therapist, we can do a lot of what they do. So I just want to put that out there. Like, no, you need a physical therapist. And I'm like, we do functional rehab to get you, even if we have to modify how you do it, or modify the environment so that you can become more independent. That's the most important thing. If we can't restore you based on the level of injury, let's just say somebody has an amputation, certain things can be different on how they, especially when they're healing, if they're waiting for their prosthetic, we still will work on how to get you as independent as possible until you get to the next phase.
And I didn't ask you this question, but I wanted to dovetail what you just said. So, in working with those areas, are you typically in the home with them, or is it like a different environment or location that you meet the patients?
Yeah, so it really depends on where the person's deficit is. We've worked in homes, we've been in colleges, we've been in the classrooms, we've been um, in the grocery stores and in the malls, just outside a person's house where they're having trouble walking their dog. It's like I said, it's literally whatever your responsibility is, or your hobby, or your leisure, or what you have to do or want to do. We take the environment that is the most fitting, and that's where we will meet you. And that's something that traditional occupational therapy generally doesn't do, but we should be doing, because we can simulate something, let's say in a rehab gym, but the rehab gym is set up for success. They have all the grab bars in the right places, and the flooring is non slid, or maybe there's no carpet, but when you get home in somebody else's house, it's lush carpet.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at all that, or maybe they want to throw rugs, and that's causing them to trip, or maybe they need a grab bar somewhere. So
Now, just to ask, are you also just centered in any particular state, or are you able to, move along in the way? So, for example, Pennsylvania or New Jersey, Delaware, things like that. How mobile are you guys in terms of, patients accessing your service?
yeah, so we've been experiencing New Jersey and Pennsylvania. We just got our license practice in Delaware.
Oh, congratulations. Okay, so you've expanded. You are now in the tri-state area. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. So let's dovetail on that. How is the best way to reach you? So twofold. One, if I want to come to you as a patient, what's the best way to do that? And then if I am, a occupational therapist and I am seeking to now, be an entrepreneur, I'm new, or I'm an existing and I'm needing, wanting to leave for whatever reason where I am at practice X, and now I want to, join the group or be my own entrepreneur. So if you can let us know those three parts.
Yeah. So
So
a lot of
a
the
lot of the
my referrals or the
referrals or
patients
patients
are
are
finding me either
finding
through their
either
health
through their health
insurance companies
insurance
because I'm
company
in the
because I'm in the
directories there,
directories
or
there,
they do
or
a
they
just a
do
quick
just a
search
quick
on
search on
internet
the
at
internet at
otwellness.com.
openwellness.com.
All of my
All of
contact
my
information
contact
is
information
there.
is there.
Um,
Um,
or
or
you can just
you
kind
can
of
just
message
kind
me. I
of
get a lot of
make a
messages
lot
on
of messages
LinkedIn.
on LinkedIn.
Just Googling my name, you'll find me on LinkedIn. They can, just send me a message, whether it's for, as a client, or also if they would like to learn more about becoming an entrepreneur. Those are the
Those
two
are
best ways of reaching me at this time.
And if there's any physician practices, various specialties that they need to reach you, would that be the same? They can find you at LinkedIn or
LinkedIn, actually, that's where a lot of the business part is coming from LinkedIn. People are finding me, the referrals, for patient care
for patient care
on
on
ocwellness.com.
OTWellness.com.
My website where my phone number is
Phone
there,
number
and also
there,
my email
also
is
my
there so that
email
they
is
can
that they
contact
can
me directly.
contact me directly.
The phone number
The
there
phone
is
number
my
there
cell
is
phone that I
cell phone
carry
that
all
I
the
carry
time so
all the
that
time so
you can
that
text
you
me,
can text me
or call.
or call. And is it a consultation first with you in terms of, initiation in reaching you, and for patient care is the same as,
It's the same
in
thing.
the entrepreneur, same thing? Okay.
Yep,
Okay. So,
yep.
yeah,
Yeah, generally for
generally
patients,
for
it's a
patients, it's a
screening
screening
to see if
to
this
see
is
if
something that
it's
they
something that
actually would
they
need
actually
or
need
want.
or
And
want.
then also,
And
really quick, I
also
want
really
to
quick,
talk
I want to
about
talk about
direct access.
direct
A lot of
access.
people
A
that
lot
say,
of people
my
that say
doctor may not
doctor may
understand
not
what
understand
occupational therapy
occupational.
is. Direct access in most major health insurances will allow for the patient to come to us directly, let us do an evaluation, and then we can start a plan of care bypassing the doctor as long as
As long
occupational
as
therapy is appropriate, and also depending on the type of health insurance. But many of the health insurances do allow.
That's a great tip, and I'll put that in the comment as well, for that to make sure that that's there. So one last thing before, in terms of the entrepreneur program, is it similar consultation with you and then
Same thing.
discuss same
Hmm.
thing?
Yep.
Okay, okay,
Yep. To just to make sure that people are ready, in a state of
mhm,
mind of readiness, because lots of times people are tired of what they're doing,
right.
in the bigger companies, but they're just not quite ready to really move forward in the way of entrepreneurship.
And that's great that you have conversation first. I do think that, it's a good way to gauge, in terms of that from a conversation perspective, and you're right. Sometimes, you may think that you're ready, but, sometimes you may not be, but it allows you to be able to think through, think through the conversation. Am I ready? And ask
Right.
yourself the
Absolutely.
question.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, I so appreciate having you once again. I love your insights. I hope that we will hear from you more in terms of occupational therapy. I learned a lot that it's not just one thing. So I'm always a lifelong learner. So I appreciate that. And even with your entrepreneurship and program as well. So glad to see that you have two paths in terms of, life wellness. And so, and that you expanded. You are now in officially in
Delaware.
tri-state area. That's awesome.
Hmm.
So for as the end, when we end the session, I am going to put your information there. Make sure that everyone can contact you, and that if there's anyone else that have any additional questions, they can reach you. And for April, happy Occupational Therapy Month.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again.